Hello, and welcome back to the Keeping It Real Estate podcast with Chris
and Jen Bober.
We are real estate agents here at Nebraska Realty. We form teambober, and our mission is to educate and empower our clients to help them make great decisions. And what we want to do today is we're going to talk about the real state of the real estate market. Now, a lot of this information, I got to get some credit. So I facilitate a lot of courses here through the Buffini and Company system, working by referral. And every year, Brian Buffini, who's one of the most famous realtors out there in our industry, and he has the largest coaching company in North America with tens and hundreds of thousands of realtors. And every year he does a state of the market. Now he's kind of done it every half year too. So a lot of this information is coming from Brian Buffini and Dr. Lawrence Yoon, who's the NAR specialist on the market side for that. So that's where we're getting a lot of our information. But we want to give you guys the truth about the real estate of the real estate market. Now, as you're watching this or listening to this, I want to give you a quick reminder. If you're listening to this podcast, whichever device you're using or whichever app you're using, be sure to click the subscribe button so you get notified of our podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, right down there is a subscribe button to our channel. Please subscribe, help us get our message out there, and click the notification bell to get those notifications. And any social media platform, please like, retweet, share, comment, all the things that they do out there. And we're available to answer any of your questions at any time. So today we're going to talk about what's really going on in the real estate market.
Yeah.
There's a lot of negative news.
Yeah, a lot of panic, and the media really kind of takes things and runs with it. It's not always the truth.
Yeah, and we're going to kind of help translate some of that today. So what we're going to talk about is that state of the market. We're going to talk about mortgage rates and what's going on there. And then we're going to talk about the rest of 2023 and beyond, and what we see happening right now, and what some of the experts are predicting out there that, believe it or not, is actually a lot better than what we think it's going to be.
Right.
So
we're excited.
We are.
For the
we
future.
are. There's so many great things that are happening or coming into this market that I think are better than we think it is. So let's talk about the current real estate statistics, right? There's a lot of negative news out there, but the current stats are, our market is down probably about 20% when it comes to just the overall volume and number of sales. And we've seen that. We feel that as realtors. Yep. Our company feels that. So we talked about this at the beginning of this year, ending of 2022, going into 23.
Yep.
We
kind of saw it coming.
A few podcasts, and what we said what was going to happen is going to be a shift. And we didn't know exactly how it was going to happen, but there's been a major shift. And we kind of had this momentum built up where everything just happened so fast. Prices were going up, buyers were coming in, sellers were having a great market, and it's kind of just stalled out, right? And there's a definite shift in the thinking and kind of the culture of real estate of what we've seen. We continue to hold steady with about the same number of listings as last year, right? So houses are going on the market. There's fewer of them, but they're still selling. It's not a bad market. But again, the volume's down about 20%. What we have seen affecting the consumers especially is the pricing. And I think a lot of people think the market's going to crash or we're going to go to a recession. But the statistics show that pricing's only up about 3 to 4% from last year. That's a little bit of a shock. It's a sticker shock because over the last 5-6 years, we've had 8, 10, 12% increase in equity year over year. And it's funny because I think people just expected that to be normal.
Yeah. It's like it's like a new mindset, but it's actually more normal. What we've been heading into is people don't realize it's been so abnormal for so many years. So it's really just a re-education and resetting your mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
On approaching it.
Absolutely.
From all sides, buyers, sellers, agents.
Definitely a shift, right?
Yeah,
like we
definitely
talked about.
A shift.
And the interesting thing is, and I like to share our weekly snapshot, 7-day snapshot, and there's actually like a line of delineation at about 300,000 in the Omaha market. So 300,000 and below is still a very quick market. If a home is priced for its condition and location, it sells very, very quickly with multiple offers. In a lot of instances. Once you get to that 300,000 and above market, we're just seeing that kind of line there that at that point you have to be really strategic about your pricing.
Yeah.
I just think that with the negativity, with the interest rates where they are, I think people are just much more conscious. There's still a lot of buyers for that, but they're just not willing to go and spend as much as they were if it was last year's market. So just keep that in mind. Houses are still selling pretty quick, but you have to be very conscious of pricing.
Yeah. You have to be smart about it. You can't take advantage. I think there was a time in the past where you could kind of really, as a seller, push. You had a little bit of leverage to push the price. We're just not there anymore, I don't think. You got to really price the home correctly.
Yeah, calling people like a teambober to come in and price your home is probably then once again been to the forefront of one of the services that we provide.
Yeah.
We always say it's about 90% of the success of selling your home within a reasonable time is pricing
It's
correctly.
the price.
So you definitely need to talk to professionals about that. Okay, let's talk about the market now. We'll go to the real estate of the real estate market. And what we want to kind of put out there is a lot of the sensational news that we're hearing really isn't 100% true.
Right.
And that's what the media does, right?
When we watch the news with our realtor hat on, we cringe.
Yeah.
We're like, we're going to have to re-educate, So.
Yeah. It's amazing that how many people who are in the media can just throw whatever they want out there, and they're kind of dictating people's opinions of our market.
Right.
And it's not nearly as bad as people think it is.
Yeah.
But every time you watch the news, read the newspaper, look online, social media, it's always something negative. But you got to remember that it's very sensationalized.
Yeah.
It's just the world we live in, and it really is. But people think the market's going to crash. They think we're going to go into a recession. They think all the banks are going to close. And the most recent memory we have of these bad times is our last recession back in 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
And I'm here to tell you that nothing matches up with what's going on there. So let's talk about some of the things, the real facts that are going out there. Now, one of the negative things, obviously, is mortgage rates. And we're going to talk specifically about those in a minute. But what's happening out there is our Federal Reserve, right? They create the interest rate up and down, and they're trying to kind of control what's happening out there. What they really don't want to do is let things get too far out of hand. So about this time last year, we had an inflation rate of about 8%. Right? So for those that are watching or listening, inflation is basically when goods are taking off in prices and people can't afford them. So what our government or Federal Reserve has done is they've increased the interest rates and the amount that it costs to borrow money to get people to stop spending a little bit to try to get the prices to come down.
Right.
And in our economy, a lot of times that's worked. And again, about this time last year, we were about 8%. So over this period of time, you saw the Federal Reserve start to incrementally increase the interest rates. And what those have done is those affected mortgage rates. Not directly, but as a trailing effect, mortgage rates will go up too. So over that period of time, this inflation, what it's done is it's done its job.
Yeah.
So in our overall economy right now, 8% plus last year in June of 2022. 1 year later, in a couple months, we are actually down. I just checked it today. We're down almost a 3% inflation.
Wow. Okay.
And that's an amazing
the
good statistic that we're not talking about that.
Yeah, we're not talking about the positive and the,
Yep. And what we're hoping is that very soon we're going to start seeing the mortgage rates start to come down because of this big spread between inflation and interest rates.
Right.
So that is something that's going to happen. But here's some real facts about our market. One majorly positive thing is that the amount of equity that the homeowners have in their homes right now is the largest than it's ever been. A statistic that I saw, and it came from Buffini sharing this, is that 68% of all homeowners have at least 50% equity in the homes that they own right now.
Wow.
And that just hasn't happened before.
That's just a huge plus for everybody.
It is. So many of these, about 30% have their houses totally paid off, and about another 30+% own more than half their house. And people are seeing this right now, and they think the market's bad, but they don't know if they sell their house, they're going to get a lot of cash out of there. So that we'll talk about how that can offset the purchase of a house at a higher interest rate because you have more cash to put down. So that's a huge fact. That's a big one out there. The other thing is there is continually pent-up demand for housing. And I remember I told you that before we started, and Jen's like, well, stuff isn't selling as fast. But the statistic that I saw there is there are 3 million households in our country that make $150,000 or more in income that are renting right now.
Wow.
And
Yeah,
we just
we
have
talked
never
about that.
we've never seen the amount of people that are affluent and save their money and make good money that can't buy a house.
Right.
But the reality is that we still don't have enough houses.
Yep.
And that is one of the positive facts to take away from this is that there is still a very large pent-up demand for buyers to buy houses out there. We don't have nearly enough houses, and that's one of the major.
It's been the case for a lot of years. Yeah.
And that's one of the major things why we don't feel like there's going to be a recession or a housing crash or anything like that. So now, what Jen and I really want to do here in talking about the kind of these facts is to say that you can't just get your news from the media, right? You have the largest asset that you own, which most people is their house.
Yep.
And they're using what they see on Twitter and Facebook and the news to make their decisions about whether or not they should move to sell their house or buy a house when they should be calling professionals, right?
Yeah, call a professional. Yeah, do an actual analysis of your situation, because everybody's different. Everybody's got, it's unique to you.
And one of the things that we help educate our clients on is, if the circumstances in your life say, I need to sell my house to move into a bigger house or a smaller house, or I need to relocate or whatever it might be, don't just assume that you can't do it.
Yeah.
Right? And one of the things we do so many times is we sit down with them and say, well, here's what your house could sell for right now. And they're like, well, yeah, but I got to go buy this house over here and I'm going to pay more interest. But if they would know how much equity they have, they would probably, it usually balances out or actually works in their favor.
Yeah. And we have a couple right now we're working with, and this is the exact story. Once they understood the numbers, they were like, now they're in the game. It's doable.
Yep.
Yep.
And I think they bought into the negativity until they talked to us.
Yes.
And we just basically ran the numbers and showed them the reality that when you need to move, when you need to sell or to buy, there is a way to do it. And you call professionals like us to help you understand what that is. And that's our education and empowering our clients. And then they can make decisions that fit with them. So the reality of our market is that it's not nearly as bad as everyone thinks it is. And that for people that need to buy and sell houses, it's still a really good time. Historically, I mean, we're at about the historical mortgage interest rate. So we just got a little spoiled for a while.
Yes.
But this is kind of the reality of owning homes. But the benefit of it is
back to changing the mindset. Yeah.
Yeah. If you've been a homeowner, you actually have some cash to play with to go purchase your next home. So that's the reality of our market. Now, the big thing that people are talking about, and
I want to point out too, the couple I referenced, they have not lived in that home long.
Yeah.
And they're still sitting in a great position because, they were in a time where that equity was growing kind of in a volatile way, even though that's back down a little bit, but it's still, in a year and a half will serve them well.
Yeah, these current clients we have, their situation changed where they need to be in a different location.
Yes.
Due to their circumstances, their family and whatnot. And they are thinking like, oh my gosh, we're going to be upside down. We're going to be all this. But come to find out, they do have a good amount of equity to go put down on that next house.
They're in a great position.
It exists out there.
Yeah.
And we just don't want people to think that they can't make their move because they're going to be upside down.
It never hurts just to have a conversation, understand your situation.
Absolutely. Now, if there is something that's out there that's driving our market and even the negativity is the mortgage rates.
Yeah.
Right? So what rate did you hear this week? You heard?
I heard 7.8 earlier in the week, but I think I don't know where it is today. I haven't looked today.
And it's kind of shocking.
But one of our wonderful lenders here at Nebraska Realty, we were talking about it, and he was telling me 7.8.
Yeah, and prior to the last maybe like 6-7 years, those kind of rates would have been kind of normal.
Yeah.
It's just what you had to deal with. It's just
right.
We had a very rare period where rates were down in the 2s, in the 3s, and we have this memory of that. And so many people think that there's an obstacle to home ownership with these rates, and it doesn't make it harder. But we're actually kind of normal. We're not in dire times with 7% interest rates.
Back in the 80s when it was 18 and 19%, perspective is everything. And so this seems dramatic right now, but in the grand scheme of things, it's workable, it's doable. You can still do the things that you need to do if you need to make a move.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, why rates continue to go up, we're not exactly sure why this is going on. In fact, it's a little frustrating.
Even the lenders are like, there's just no reason for this.
There really isn't. There are some clues to what's going on. We actually feel like the rates should actually start coming down.
Yeah.
Like they should have already started coming down. I don't understand why the Fed increased the interest rate again when inflation has come down so much.
Right.
I'm sure there's a reason behind it for smarter people than us.
Yeah.
But we don't know why. But with inflation being so low, we are hoping that we're going to start seeing that come down. And so let's talk about how this is affecting our clients personally. Now, the interesting thing is most people think like, oh my gosh, this is pricing buyers out of homes. It's actually affecting our sellers.
Yes.
It just emotionally more than anything, because if you're locked in at 2.7 or 3% and you need to make a move, it's hard to say, okay, I'm going to go now get a 7% interest rate.
Right.
And what we find is there's so many people who want to move, but they're saying, okay, I'm just going to wait.
Yep.
And we see that more than anything. And there's a reason, the reason why less houses are being sold this year is because sellers just aren't willing to sell and go into a new rate.
Yes.
So how many times has that happened this year?
Oh, it's all over the place. And I get it. I mean, personally, we get that. We understand the emotion of that. But, hopefully it'll turn around.
And, again, our solution is to call us and run the numbers, right? Several of our current clients right now thought they couldn't make their move, but they realized, I'm going to have a higher interest rate, but I also have a ton of equity.
Right.
And that cash is king. Right?
Yeah, right.
Interest rates, you can write off mortgage interest rates. For our buyers, so many first-time buyers are coming in the market, so they didn't experience 3% interest rates. So 7% to them is normal.
So they don't know any different, right?
It is affecting their pricing options, right? They might be down a tier in terms of their affordability. But a term that we said before, and we say again, is, marry the house and date the rate.
Yeah.
Because if you have a need to purchase a home, it's better to purchase the home now, even if it's more expensive interest rates. If they go down, you can refinance. But what we've equated is, if you say, I'm going to wait till next year till the interest rates go down, well, that maybe 1% interest rate going down, you'll actually pay more because the house will be more than 1% next year.
Right.
So you're going to pay more next year than you will this year.
Right.
So there really isn't a reason to wait unless you don't have the money. So marry the house, date the rate, because there's nothing like home ownership, and you don't start building that wealth as home ownership and your equity until you own the house.
Yes.
So when you're renting, you're throwing that money away and just missing it. So now, as we kind of get towards the end here, let's talk about the rest of 2023 and what we kind of see happening here beyond this. We're not into predictions. You guys can't hold us to this exactly.
Yeah.
But the rates have to come down.
Yeah.
Right? We totally 100% believe that.
I'm personally excited. I think it's going to only get better from this point.
Yeah, we feel like we're kind of at that tipping point to where I don't see any real reason why the Fed and the mortgage companies can continue to add rates to make them go higher.
Increase those, yeah.
We do expect them to start going down. The other thing that's coming up here, and you just haven't been in the business long enough, we've seen this with these election cycles come up. An election year next year is usually a great year because the people in power, the people that want to be in power, they all start wanting to make this look better.
They want to win votes.
They do, and believe it or not, in the world we live in, they do affect that. So we do think that things are lining up for interest rates to come down, start incrementally coming down, and then next year, what they're predicting is they're going to just kind of get lower and steadier rates.
Yeah.
The other thing we do know is, and I talked about all the renters that are out there, we've never had this much demand. We've never had this much shortage of housing. As our population grows, we are nowhere near catching up. The builders and developers, the planners, they're working hard to address this, and they've been doing this for a while. It's just it's a process that takes time. If you're here in the Omaha area, drive around and see all the new construction.
Yeah, it's just going wild in every part of town.
And while we haven't seen it yet catch up, they're working hard to catch up.
They're trying. I mean, there's opportunity there for those guys.
So there are more houses coming. The builders are starting to catch up, especially as inflation goes down and becomes a little bit more affordable to them. They can build more houses. Again, Buffini and Dr. Lawrence Yun both feel like we are going to get back to seasonality in our market. And this is something that we probably didn't notice because it was right in front of our face. But traditionally in a real estate market, you have a seasonality, right? You start the year, it's slow, right? It's cold outside. We have the holidays, and it kind of ramps up. And then the spring, it really takes off, and it goes through the middle of the summer. In the middle of the summer, people get distracted by vacations or whatever it might be, kind of slows down. Then we have another bump here in the fall, which is what we're coming into now.
Yeah.
And then it slows down again in the winter. When COVID happened, it kind of threw the timing off. It's like jet lag for our market. Right? We had market lag.
Yeah, market lag.
There was no rhyme or reason over the last 3 years for when it's a great time to buy or sell. It's just kind of went based on these factors we're determining. As we get more towards this being the normal, this new normal, which is really the old traditional normal, we are going to start seeing more seasonality in our market.
Yeah, if you've been an agent in the market for 10 or more years, it's actually going back to the way that it's always been a little bit.
And I know from the realtor standpoint, we have so many realtors that have come into this business over the last 5 or 6 years that have never experienced price reductions,
Yes.
Houses staying on the market, a little more tedious negotiations, inspections, stuff like that. So our industry's adjusting to that as well. The good thing is we've been around long enough that we've experienced it.
Yeah,
So,
it's not scary.
It's not as scary to us because, we help people buy and sell in any market. Our business isn't determined on that. We're here to help people, and we have to navigate those things. So going into this year, we are already seeing an uptick in the market, right? There's more people calling now looking to buy and sell.
Yeah, just in the last week.
If we can get through this current heat wave.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Which is funny in the Midwest, how weather affects our market. Not over the long term, but in the short term, we've had record heat this week. Well, no one wants to go out and do anything.
Right.
And next thing it's going to be raining for a week and no one's going to want to do anything. But we do know that in the fall, we expect a lot of people to come into this market. A lot of buyers are looking to make their move. They want to get done by the end of the year. School started. Temperatures will be reasonable. We expect a really, really big fall and continue through that. And then the new normal will set in and people will just have to deal with it to start next spring.
Yep.
So there's a lot of good things coming in our market. There's more housing coming. We expect interest rates to drop, record amount of equity for people to have options as they make their move into the next house. So we're back to like the old normal, but it's a really good market. So what we want to do is encourage you guys out there that to not buy into this. We just have gotten to the cycle. It's gotten worse and worse of people getting their information from people who aren't experts.
Try not to listen to all the noise.
Yeah.
Call us, call a professional, and just don't hit the panic button because that's what that's what's going on.
Yeah,
no reason to panic.
We're letting the emotions of all the noise out there control one of the biggest decisions in your life is just to sell and purchase your home and real estate, large investments. Don't give that to the people out there. Call us. Well, we'd be willing to help you. And again, it may or may not be something that said, okay, I'm going to wait. I have to save more money. Or, wow, I can sell my house and get the house that I want. So we are here to provide solutions for that and help you navigate through that. Call us when you need to know the truth.
Yeah, when you can understand that, you just have a whole other level of confidence in your situation.
And that ultimately is what our value is we are your guide through this process.
Yes.
We will take your circumstances and help you navigate what's going on out there and get you to where you want to be and help you deal with in facts and reality and truth.
Yes.
So that's our theme for today is call us if you want to know the truth about what's going on. If you have any more questions about anything we said, if you sit there and think, I want to know what my house is worth. I want to know what it would really take to do that. Just, reach out to us.
Yeah.
Teambober.com is our website. You can find us on all the social medias. Before we click out of here, just another reminder is that as we put this information out, we'd love to share it with as many people as possible. So subscribe to our podcast, subscribe to our YouTube channel, comment, like, share, retweet, all the things out there. We are just here to provide a service for you through our experience to help you make your move, whether it's selling, buying, building, investing, any of those, we can help you out at Team Bober. So thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you found this information helpful. And again, if you'd like more information, just reach out to us.